Welcome back, guys. Before we start, please make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends and family. Also, can you please tell me from where you're watching? Thanks. A creepy true story told like you're sitting right beside me. This happened last fall back in 2021 when I was staying with my cousin Zoe in Cedar Pines, a quiet little suburb outside Seattle. I had flown in from Nova Scotia to spend a few weeks with her before she moved out of the country for work. We were super close growing up, more like sisters than cousins, and we hadn't seen each other in years. One of our favorite things to do while I was visiting was making random trips to this giant store called Maple Market. It was kind of like Target but locally owned and a bit weirder. You could buy groceries, furniture, Halloween decorations in August, light up flamingos, mystery bags, literally anything. I loved it. It was so American. Zoe laughed every time I got excited over something like a scented candle shaped like a bat or a bag of marshmallow-only cereal. We went to Maple Market almost every other day. Sometimes we'd even go twice, once during the day and once late at night just to browse. Now this place was in a nice part of town. You know, the kind of shopping center with fairy lights in the trees and a fountain that doesn't work but still looks expensive. I never once felt unsafe there. Until that night. It was a Wednesday. I remember because Zoe had just finished work, and we were both exhausted but still wanted snacks and maybe some fall-scented room spray. You know how it goes. So around 8:45 p.m. we drove over to Maple Market. It was already dark out, but the lot was decently lit and there were still people coming and going. We parked kind of far from the entrance, which I didn't think much about at the time. As we walked across the lot, laughing about something dumb, I noticed a man standing near the row of shopping carts out front. He wasn't doing anything, just standing. His arms hung stiff by his sides like he didn't quite know what to do with them. No phone, no bag, just standing there. At first I figured he was waiting for someone or maybe finishing a smoke, but there was something about him. Something off. His head didn't move, but his eyes did, and they were locked on me. I told myself not to be weird about it. People look. Maybe he was zoning out or just tired or whatever, but when we passed I felt his gaze trailing us. Not a glance. Not curiosity. It felt like being marked. That kind of deep, heavy stare that sticks to your back like gum on a shoe. Zoe didn't notice. She was already talking about oat milk or something. I nodded and smiled, trying to act normal, but my stomach had that weird cold drop, like when you're on a roller coaster that doesn't feel safe. I glanced back quickly. The man was still standing there. Then, just as the automatic doors whooshed open, I saw him step forward. No cart, no shopping list. No hesitation, he walked into the store, right behind us. At that point, every instinct in me was like, nope, nope, nope. But I still wasn't sure if I was just being jumpy. I've always been the more cautious one. Okay, fine, the paranoid one. Especially since a weird encounter I had on a train a few years back. Zoe's the chill one. Super trusting. She once gave her number to a guy in a raccoon costume. True story. So we headed toward the snack aisle. I could feel someone behind us, but I refused to look. I didn't want to feed the paranoia. Zoe grabbed some veggie chips and moved toward the bath products. I said I'd meet her over there. As she walked off, I finally risked a look, and there he was. Same man. About 10 feet behind me. Not shopping. Not looking at products, just standing. Watching. His head tilted just slightly like he was trying to listen in without moving closer. His face didn't show anything, no smile, no frown. Just this blank, unreadable look, like a mannequin someone had forgotten to take out of the box. I ducked into the candle aisle, heart pounding, and texted Zoe. A guy in black coat is following me. Don't freak out. Come to aisle 6 now. She came over all casual, joking about how many pumpkin-scented things I had in my hands. I pulled her in close and quietly told her what was going on. She peeked over her shoulder, then froze. He's here, she whispered. Now she was serious. Zoe doesn't scare easily. She once slept through a tornado warning, but she looked pale. We left the aisle together, fast but not running. I made us turn through random departments. home goods, cleaning supplies, even pet food. And every single time I'd glance back. And he'd be there, always a few steps behind, always silent, never pretending to shop. Once we cut through the kids' clothing section. The lights in that area flickered slightly, and I swear it felt colder there. Like someone had opened a freezer behind us. I even heard something strange, this weird high-pitched clicking sound. Too fast to be footsteps, but definitely not normal. We finally ducked into the seasonal section, crouched behind a rack of inflatable skeletons, and just waited. Zoe kept whispering that maybe we should call someone. I was too freaked out to think clearly. I peeked through the shelf. He was gone. For a full minute, I didn't see him anywhere. Then Zoe let out the tiniest gasp. "He's by the checkout." Watching the doors, he had moved again. Like he knew exactly where we were going next. Like he was waiting for us to come to him. I grabbed her wrist and said, "We're not going through the front." I pulled us toward the back of the store where there was a small employees-only hallway that led to the receiving area. We used to sneak through there in high school when we were being dumb. The door wasn't locked. We slipped through, trying to be as quiet as possible. The hallway was long, buzzing with flickering fluorescent lights, and smelled like old cardboard and lemon cleaner. We kept walking, breathing shallow, hearts thumping. Suddenly we heard footsteps. Not ours. Heavy, uneven ones. We froze. Zoe squeezed my hand so tight I thought it might break. I turned around slowly, nothing there, but the sound was still coming. Thump, scrape, thump, scrape, like someone dragging their foot behind them. We didn't wait. We ran. Out the back door, into the alley. I could still hear it, those dragging steps, but I never looked back. We sprinted across the lot and finally reached our car. Zoe unlocked it, we jumped in, slammed the doors, and locked them fast. Just as I was about to start the car, I saw him again. He was standing in the alleyway, where we'd just come from, motionless, watching. The shadows from the parking lights made it look like his eyes were glowing. Then he turned and walked, away, slow, unbothered, like he had all the time in the world. We drove off fast, barely speaking. The whole ride home, we kept checking the mirrors. Every sound made me flinch. Every parked car felt suspicious. We never saw him again. Not that night. Not in the days that followed. But for the rest of my trip, I never stepped foot back in Maple Market. And neither did Zoe. Even now, whenever I see someone just standing alone outside a store, I get this shiver in my spine. Because that man, he wasn't just creepy, he was waiting. And I still don't know what for. Okay. So I have to tell you what happened to my sister Maddie and me last summer. It's one of those stories that starts out normal, like painfully boring normal. But by the end, we were both so freaked out we couldn't sleep for days. We were at this place called Green Pine Market, kind of like a Target knockoff out here in Westfield, Oregon. It was the middle of July, super hot outside, and we just wanted to get out of the house and buy some candles for our mom's birthday. Innocent enough, right? So we're in the candle aisle doing what you do, sniffing every single one like we're some kind of scent connoisseurs. Maddie found this one that smelled like toasted marshmallow and was obsessing over it. And I was hunting for something citrusy. Everything was just regular, kind of boring. Until it wasn't. That's when these two girls walked up. Maybe mid-20s. One was wearing these bright orange leggings and a gray hoodie, despite the heat. The other had on all black and was chewing gum like she was mad at it. At first glance, nothing too weird. They smiled, looked friendly. I honestly didn't think twice. The one in orange leaned in and said, "Hey, that candle smells so good. Can I try it?" Maddie handed it over, a little hesitant but still polite. The girl sniffed it and nodded, but then the other one, black hoodie, came out of nowhere with this totally different candle, and I swear to you she shoved it inches from our noses. No warning. Just smell this one. It didn't smell like anything good. Kinda sour, almost like vinegar or wet laundry. I pulled back immediately. Maddie kind of laughed it off, but we both got that little internal jolt, you know, when something just feels off. Then things got worse. Instead of walking away or saying thanks, the girls stuck around and started asking us questions. Not normal small talk either. It was stuff like, Do you guys live around here? And where do you work? And do you go out a lot? Really specific things. They didn't even try to ease into it. Just rapid-fire questions like they were trying to memorize our lives. Maddie said she worked from home. The girl in black asked, "What company? What department?" Like it mattered. I said we lived nearby, and they immediately asked, "Which neighborhood?" I made something up, and Maddie gave me this look like, why are they so into this? Then the mood shifted again. Orange Leggings suddenly lit up and said, "We love hiking. There's this trail like 20 minutes from here. You guys look like you'd be into that." Now, we are not hiking people. We're indoor and air-conditioned people. Maddie shook her head and said, "Not really our thing, but they just kept pushing. It's so fun. You'd love it. You should totally come with us sometime." We laughed awkwardly and tried to be nice about saying no, but they didn't care. They just kept going. Then one of them pointed at Maddie's necklace and said, "That's so pretty. Where'd you get it?" Which would have seemed normal if it hadn't come right after us trying to walk away. It felt fake, like they were saying random things just to keep us talking, and they were so close, like physically. No sense of space. Their eyes didn't blink much either, which sounds dramatic, but I noticed it. Something was wrong. Just when we thought we could finally escape, Black Hoodie leaned in and asked, "Can we get your number? Just to text about hikes and stuff." Maddie and I looked at each other like, "Nope." She said, "Sorry, we don't really give our numbers out," trying to stay polite. But instead of backing off, Orange Leggings said, "Do you have Snapchat? Instagram?" Maddie goes, "Yeah, do you?" "No," they both said immediately. "We don't do social media." Then, like clockwork, they asked for our phone numbers again. Same tone, same smile. No shame, I swear they asked us 4 times. 4 separate ways. "Just give it so we can send you trail maps. We'll only use it for planning. We're just trying to be friendly." It never stopped. We finally just said, "Sorry, we really have to go," and started walking off. We didn't run, but we moved fast enough to make it clear. Here's where it gets creepy. I glanced back just to make sure they weren't following us. They weren't, but they also weren't moving. They were still standing right there in the candle aisle, not talking, not shopping, not touching anything, just standing there staring at us as we left, and I don't mean glancing. I mean eyes locked, bodies still like mannequins. It felt like being watched by statues. It gave me full-body goosebumps. We left the store without finishing our shopping. Too freaked out. We sat in the car for a bit trying to shake it off. Then after maybe 10 minutes, we finally pulled out of our spot and started heading toward the exit of the lot. That's when Maddie slammed the brakes. Those 2 girls? They were now outside, in the parking lot, talking to another pair of women, also young, maybe college-aged, and they were running the same exact routine. We watched as one of the new girls handed over her phone to Orange Leggings and started typing in her number. I couldn't believe it. They had just moved on. Same smile, same body language, same vibe. Like they'd rehearsed this 1,000 times. That's when it hit me. They weren't shopping. They were looking, scouting, trying to find someone who'd give them what they wanted. And to this day, Maddie and I have no clue what that was. What were they going to do with those phone numbers? Why lie about social media? Why try so hard to keep us talking? We told the store manager the next day. She didn't seem surprised. Said she'd heard other stories. People being followed in the parking lot, being asked weird personal stuff. But nothing ever came of it. Sometimes I still wonder, what if we had gone hiking with them? What if Maddie had handed over her phone? What would have happened? It's been over a year and we still don't shop at Green Pine alone. And I still flinch a little every time someone in a hoodie walks up to me and smiles like they know me. Okay, so this happened in October of 2022, in a small town called Pinebrook. I'll never forget it. I was out with my nephew Eli and my niece Zoe. I'm not their mom, I'm their aunt, but I take care of them a lot since my sister works nights. That evening, we'd been cooped up inside for too long, and I figured a quick run to Larkmart, the local big box store, would be a good way to burn off some energy. It was around 8:45 p.m., just before closing, and the parking lot was mostly empty. You know that weird silence a store parking lot has at night? Just a few flickering lights and a shopping cart somewhere off in the distance squeaking in the wind. That kind of quiet always makes me feel like I'm in a horror movie. I parked under a light near the front entrance, made sure both kids were holding my hands, and told them my usual line. Stick with me. No wandering. And if anything feels weird, tell me. Got it? They nodded. They're good kids. Inside, the store was calm. Too calm. Barely any other shoppers. A couple of employees up front. One of those floor cleaning machines humming in the distance. The store smelled like plastic and lemon-scented cleaner. We headed toward the toy section first. Eli was all excited about some superhero action figures, and Zoe wanted to check out the pink squishy stuff that smells like strawberries. As they got absorbed in their own little worlds, I kept glancing around like I always do. I'm a little paranoid by nature, especially after hearing stories online about people getting followed in stores. It sounds dramatic, but you just never know. That's when I noticed him. At first, I didn't think much of it. Just a tall guy in a dark gray hoodie, standing at the end of the aisle near the basketballs. He wasn't looking at anything, just standing still, like he was waiting for something. Or someone. I said, "Excuse me," and pushed the cart around him. He didn't move. Didn't look up. Didn't even blink. Just kept standing there like a statue. We moved on. I didn't say anything to the kids, but something about him stuck in my head. It wasn't just the stillness. It was the way he seemed too still. Like he was trying to pretend he was part of the background. We kept shopping. The kids wanted to see the book section, so we headed there next. Eli ran ahead a little, just a few steps, and Zoe stayed glued to the cart, flipping through a colorful book about animals. Then I saw him again. Same guy. Same hoodie. This time he was at the end of the aisle where the kids' books were. Not browsing. Not even pretending to. Just standing. Watching. My skin started to crawl. I whispered to Zoe, "Stay with me." Then I called Eli back over. I didn't want to scare them, but I couldn't shake the feeling in my gut that something was off. I pushed the cart to the next aisle, trying to act casual. We passed board games and puzzles. The kids didn't notice anything, but I could feel him. You know that awful feeling you get when someone's looking at you? That weird heat on the back of your neck? That. I turned around fast, like one of those moments in a movie when the character suddenly realizes something. He was there again. Closer. This time, I saw his phone. It was in his hand, held low like he was trying to be sneaky, but I could see the screen. The camera was on. It was recorded. I froze. Everything in me screamed to run, but I didn't want to panic the kids. My heart was hammering so hard it hurt. I grabbed both of their hands and whispered, "Let's go check out now, okay?" I tried to smile so they wouldn't freak out, but they could tell. They felt the shift. Kids always know. I took a hard left, skipping the next aisle and heading toward the music section, just trying to put distance between us and that man. My palms were sweaty on the cart handle. Every time the cart's wheels squeaked, I jumped. We turned the corner and he was there. Again. This time he was just a few feet away. The camera on his phone was still recording. I saw the red dot on the screen, glowing like an eye. He didn't say anything. Just stared like he was studying us, and then, this part still gives me chills, I swear I heard him whisper something. It was too quiet to catch the words, but his lips were moving. I didn't wait. I spun the cart around and nearly knocked over a display of headphones. I didn't care. We speed walked toward the front of the store. Every footstep behind me felt like thunder. I didn't even know if he was still following us, but I couldn't stop looking over my shoulder. I found an employee stocking shelves, some teenager in a red vest, and said, probably way too fast, "There's a man following us. Gray hoodie. He's recording us. Please, can you get someone to help?" His face changed instantly. "I'll call security. Stay right here." I didn't stay. I pushed the cart toward the checkout, barely holding it together. I kept glancing behind us, expecting to see the man right there, smiling, phone still recording. But he was gone, just gone. I paid for our stuff as fast as I could, barely hearing the cashier over the sound of my heart pounding in my ears. At the customer service desk, I asked, begged really, if someone could walk us to our car. The woman behind the counter didn't even hesitate. She called for security and a guard came up within a minute. We walked to our car in silence. Every step felt like a mile. I got the kids in the back, locked the doors, and just sat there for a moment trying to breathe. On the drive home, Eli asked, "Who was that man, Aunt Jess?" I didn't know what to say. I just told them I didn't know, but that they were safe now. When we got home, I locked every door, pulled the curtains tight, and turned on every light in the house. My hands were still shaking as I dialed the non-emergency police number and told them everything. The man, the phone, the recording, the following. They sent someone to take a statement. The officer was kind and said they'd check the store's security footage. He told me I'd done the right thing, but here's the part that keeps me up at night. A week later, I called to follow up. The officer said they looked at the cameras, but in the footage they only saw me and the kids. No man in a gray hoodie. No one is following us. No one is holding a phone. Nothing. I know what I saw. I know he was there. But according to the footage, we were alone. Now I never go shopping after dark. I don't care how badly we need milk or Legos or glitter glue. We stayed home. Curtains closed. Doors locked, and sometimes late at night I'll catch Eli or Zoe staring at the window, just looking, like they're waiting for something or someone. I ask them what they're looking at. They never answer.